Family, the backbone and education. Your Negro president supporting abomination. Abomination, this is an abrasion. The black family needs saving. Mental enslavement got you sexing like cavemen. Sisters that they gay friend, closer to playpen. Now you wonder why Jason is messing with gay men. To make our population double, gotta build some healthy couples. Black man and woman, bond strong as healthy muscles. Brothers find a hustle, love your woman, let her trust you. Some of y'all on the down low and feminine like Russell Simmons. Whether you pitching or you catching, you's a faggot. I ain't talking ERAs, homers are batting average. Y'all sodomites, pedophiles, fudge packers, lesbos, butchers and dykes and bull daggers. Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
They wanna kill our Y chromosomes, triple our X. Have a sword fighting for the fire, homosexuality. 2 moms, 2 dads, I don't care what heaven has. Kids, skip that paragraph, do some extra credit math. Not the lampoon, but in the bathroom, Senator Larry Craig's posted up, got a potty, wearing pumps, giving jumps. Brother Bolicati got me. They slightly eye me when they slide by me. I sense the presence on the gator, homophag radar. Could never go the Roman path. Prince Hakeem, royal bath, queen with the royal rag and massage oil, yeah. The perfect synergy blends with me splendidly. We can start a trinity. Man, woman, child, black POTUS got the voters, tender 40s, homophiles. Let's send them out of style. Rap, all black shroud, black pride, black life, black family and power.
Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
This is for the sisters with a mister. Go ahead and throw your fist up and be proud. You never got it mixed up. This is for the brothers with a woman on his arm. And I'm talking the black woman. Don't go out like Uncle Tom. Homos adopting babies. This faggot Obama crazy. Mama Africa made me. This European's insane, B. My vision clearer than HD. I love my people, so Euro demons gon' hate me. I hate homos always saying they was born that way. Deviant behavior will become the norm that way. It's an all-out assault, I keep them all at bay. Oh, I'm moving with a side of Cuba, good like Trey. I don't care about your feelings if you think I'm disrespecting you. Homosexuality is not acceptable. You got me throwing up my vegetables, and I'm even uncomfortable sitting next to you. Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Straight pride, man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child, yeah, straight pride. Man, woman, child.
I'm talking about nation building, I'm talking about raising children.
Yeah, all right, another episode of Chopping It Up. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters. Now remember, and today you can, if you're on Facebook, you can watch on Facebook, because pretty much we're not going to do a lot of videos, so we're going to do a lot of dialogue today. We're going to do a lot of talking. We got a phenomenal program for you on Chopping Up today. But if you want to see this first part, just to see the images, you can go to elifemedia.net. Again, that's elifemedia.net. That's where you get all of the magic going on from the studio. You can see all the things we showing in terms of the visuals. And I know you're looking at this lovely panel, this wonderful panel. You don't want to look at nothing else but this panel, but we have a few more things we want to show you. So anybody, if you tuned in on elifemedia.net, and for all those out there listening in Radio Land, want to let everybody know before we start our phenomenal program that we having our 3rd annual Straight Black Pride Movement International Convention right here, Everlasting Life. is going to be Saturday, August 19th, and Sunday, August 20th. 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks. So you want to come on out. It's free. The first time that we've ever done it for free. So you want to come out, check it out, and enjoy it. It's going to be a fantastic event. We're going to have all kind of speakers from around the country. Straight Black Survival, Straight Black Gardening, the One Horizon Gun Club, Straight Black Gardening. We're going to have brothers and sisters from, like I said, from around the country. Some people who were ex-Panthers, now professors, telling us about some of the history directly from being there when the whole organization was birthed and was feeding youth in our community. So it's something you're going to want to come out and check out. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Also want to remind everybody that we do Chopping It Up every Monday from 6 to 8:30. I mean, from 2 to 4 right here, Eastern Standard Time, right here at Everlasting Life, 9185 Central Avenue in Capitol Heights, Maryland. And also 6 p.m. every Monday from 6 to 8:30. We usually start doing a Facebook Live about 6:20. We do Chopping It Up, where we have the community come out to Everlasting Life, and we discuss things that are very, very central to Black survival and what's going on in the Black community. And tonight we're going to have a really, really, really good one. As a matter of fact, one of my co-hosts here is one of the ones that sponsored this and said we had to do this. We're doing Feminism, The Color Purple, and the War for the Minds of Black Women. So yeah, we're gonna do some stuff. I promise you, this is gonna be a good one to tune into tonight, because we're gonna really drop some serious bombs tonight with this one. And I wanted to say one more thing about the Chopping It Up from 2 to 4 each week. I don't remember what I was about to say, but I'll keep going and I'll remember it in a moment.
This is a live show, family.
That's right. It's a live show, so no editing. We don't get to take it back.
Right.
Here we have, One Horizon Media. You can come down here and get anything that you want from One Horizon right here, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, and the first Saturday of every month. Also, you want the finest jewelry that you can get in town at the best prices. That good stuff. You come on out to Malik Fashions right here again, Tuesdays through Fridays, and the first Saturday of every month right here at Everlasting Life, 9185 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland. Like we said, the first Saturday of every month. You want to tell them a little bit about the solstice?
Ooh, this past solstice was phenomenal. We had 2 celebrity chefs in the house. Chef Kitty, as well as Chef Lauren Vonderpool. And they both work with a lot of the top Black celebrities in Hollywood. And so they both had presentations that they did. Lauren did a free cooking demonstration. It was awesome. She brought the children up and really engaging. It was awesome. And that's on my page, too, if you guys are interested in seeing that, which is the Solstice Shopping Bazaar page, SOULSTICE. And then Chef Kitty came up after her, and he did a powerful presentation on how the medical industry is actually killing us. We think it's actually healing us, and when it's doing the total opposite. So he did a dynamic presentation on that as well, and a lot of people come out. It was very festive. It's a family-oriented event. Everybody is always welcome. It's never charged, always free. And that goes on the first Saturday of every month from 12 to 6 p.m. And this coming solstice, the next one in September, is going to be awesome. We're doing a Customer Appreciation Day for Everlasting Life customers, our value customers here. So we got a lot of festive things in store. So come on out and join us for that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Want to tell you also to come out. Many people have been watching the new video, the new program, What the Health. And I've been hearing so many people talking about that. And I know you have your Friday night movie nights. You'll probably show that in a couple of weeks, right?
Yep, Friday after next.
Friday at 7 p.m., always here at Everlasting Life. Sister Al Kamal, they show What the Health. And want to also tell you, look, while you're watching it and realizing that you don't want to eat this bad meat and this stuff that's killing us, why not just treat yourself to some health and come right here to Everlasting Life and get delicious food, vegan food, very good customer service. And take care of yourself right here, 9185 Everlasting Life. Also, if you're interested in doing a program, you can have your own program. It'll be outstanding. It's not going to be as good as the Irritated Genie program. We understand that. I don't want you to have your expectations so high that you deflate your own self. But at the same time,
You starting early.
I gotta start. Somebody up there talking about, oh, who are these lovely ladies who you with in there, Genie? I'm like, lovely ladies? I'm married. I don't see no lovely lady. I mean, this is Sister Hanifa and Al Kamar. So I gotta give myself some credit early with y'all in here. So let me go ahead. And also, you know, we have our Straight Black Gardening. But I want to move on to the program. Let everybody know 6 p.m. tonight. This is one you want to really tune into. Also want to remind you again, 3rd Annual Straight Black Pride Movement Convention coming up Saturday, August 19th and 20th. It's going to be an event to remember. You don't want to miss. So with that said, we're going to jump right into our dialogue. Today, we are going to be talking about, let me give the conference call number. If you want to call in, because this is going to be one of them programs you're going to want to call in and give a comment, because we're not going to sit up here and do all the talking. We asking the question. If y'all don't think there's anything wrong with the black relationship between black men and women, maybe we shouldn't even be doing this program. But we're going to talk about it. So let me give you the live number, 641-715-3640. Again, that's 641-715-3640. And then the participation code is 948-656-pound. That's 948-656-pound. If you go to the Irritated Genie of Southeast Facebook page, it'll be right there, and all that information is there where you can call in and everything. So let me just very quickly announce my distinguished guest that we have here, and then we're going to go right into this discussion. What's wrong with black relationships? First of all, I know what I wanted to say. The second Monday of every month on this program, the Chopping It Up program, Sister Al Kamar and myself, we're going to do a special program related to gender wars, ending the war between black men and women. And this week's program, we're going to talk about what's wrong with black relationships. So this is my sister, Al Kamar. Anything you'd like to tell the people?
Greetings, family. If you guys had checked out the show prior to this one I was on, thank you so much for joining in. I know it was one of those hot discussions. It was a lot of feedback from that show. A lot. People were talking about that show for a while. So again, I just want to thank you guys and for the support that you're giving us here.
All right. And my sister Hanifa. This is my sister Hanifa. Let me just tell you just a little bit about her. Oh. This sister, she might be smiling and grinning right now. Let me tell you, this sister is nothing but fire. I mean, woo!
Powerhouse.
Every time there's some kind of discussion or dialogue, she just sit there quietly and say, I have one thing to say. When that hand goes up, am I lying? You know what's about to come. You just
smoke start coming out your fingers.
You're like, shh. You're like, oh, is it smoking? Is somebody burning something? We don't smoke up in here. So this is a fiery sister, so we know she's going to have a lot of stuff to say. Anything you want to say, my sister Hanifa?
No, I'm just excited to be here and just join Al Kamar myself on our show that we do every Wednesday at 2 p.m. It's called the Empower Hour, and you can check us out at elifemedia.net as well. That's Wednesday, 2 p.m. 2 to 3 p.m.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm not going to be a disrespectful brother, because then they say, see, you don't respect the sister. I'm going to let y'all start this conversation. The question of the day is, what's wrong with black relationships? So I want y'all to help me out. Either one of y'all start. If you could start and tell us where we would start. If we talking about the relationship between black men and black women. I mean, real on a practical level. Brothers and sisters, I hear brothers complaining every day. I can speak from the brother perspective. But I hear sisters complaining even more, or just as much. What would you say is the problem, something to start with, the problem between black men and black women in our relationships?
No, I was thinking you would start first, Al Kamar.
That means you go. The way she said, that means you go first.
Well, there's a myriad of different things. I know you said think of one or make one suggestion, but I mean, I think we can't narrow it down to just one thing, because there's so many facets involved with what's wrong with our relationships. But I would just, go straight to the chase and say that for me, I think the basis of most of our trouble is oppression. You cannot. I am one that am a firm believer through study and research and understanding that you cannot separate our sojourn in this country from anything that we any of our day-to-day dealings, relationships included. So I would, in a nutshell, say that our oppression in this land has all to do with the challenges we find in our male-female relationships.
So, when the brothers are disrespecting black women, when the brothers are not being responsible, when the brothers are running around, excuse me, shooting and killing each other, selling drugs in the community, walking with their pants hanging down, you would liken that a primary reason for those type of things that women say are men cheating, not being attentive, all different kinds of things that I'm hearing, women not being emotionally intelligent or wise in how to deal with me, not caring about me, all of these different things, being insensitive, and you can name some more. I'm sure we're going on a long list. You would liken these deficiencies in black men that are consistently or commonly referred to by black women or talked about. You would say one of the main reasons for these things, you would put it on the white oppression system of America.
Yeah, either directly or indirectly. Yeah, I agree. Now, some of us are better adapt to dealing inside of oppression than others are. You know what I'm saying? But we all kind of suffer the same fate, really. You know what I'm saying? Under this oppressive regime. But it's just that, some of us are better educated and, have the better social skills, have the better understanding of, what needs to be done to be able to better navigate their relationships than others.
And so for clarification purposes, when you say some of us are better educated, are you talking about got more degrees, or you mean educated as to their blackness and culture? I just want to be clear.
Of course, and I like how you come back and break that down. Yeah, because sometimes I'll say things without really considering it. But of course, I'm not speaking about better degrees. Actually, I would be so feisty to say sometimes that adds to the problem.
Oh,
in a lot of instances. But anyway, that's just my thought.
That's true.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go next to
the thing that comes to mind is I always get her last name. I never say her last name quite right. Dr. Joy DeGroot. I was watching an interview that she had, and she was talking about how do we reverse trauma, because she has the post-traumatic slave syndrome book, right? And she was talking about how do we reverse trauma, and the first thing is to remove the person from that thing that is causing them that trauma. So what you just said, and that's what came to my mind when you said, as long as we're here, what came to my mind is that as long as male, female, black female are still existing in that thing that is continually causing them trauma, right? I personally think it would be absolutely difficult to fix our problems. Now, if we were to be removed from that environment, will those problems still exist? Yes, because our issues are multifaceted. It's not just the environment, it's also the environment that we're talking about within our own selves. So once we're removed from that, then we have a lot of healing to do. I personally can see on both sides, and if we don't get this, we will never fix this. Both genders have a lot of healing to do, and we have to hold each other accountable to that. Women have to hold each other accountable, and men have to hold each other accountable, and then we have to hold each other accountable.
Right.
Now, I think that, it was, like we said, she doing what we expect her to do. But there's one thing you just said that I think we probably lost. We had 100 people listening. Now we have -8. You said women have to hold women accountable. now, is that something you said for show? Or is that something you really make? I'm making jest of this, but I have to be 100% honest. And I wouldn't say this in respects or in the light of making an argument that we as black men have been properly accountable. So I'm not saying that. Right. What I am saying is that when we start talking about our failure to do what we're supposed to do as male and females, I find, strangely enough, that black men tend to, in my experience, have a little bit more humility in hearing things that we do wrong and say, no, that's real. Whereas the slightest criticism about saying that sisters should hold each other accountable. As a matter of fact, I can let me not talk just in generalizations. We did a discussion, and you were here, so you can vouch for that. We did a discussion, and what was the topic that day? That night we were talking about interracial relationships. And so when we started off, we showed Shannon Sharp, brother talking all articulate on behalf of black people. Then he has a white wife. And so we saying that's inconsistent. And when we asked, now, why would this happen? We had a couple of brothers that tried to kind of excuse it. But for the most part, universally, the women said it's unexcusable when they gave reasons for it. It's inexcusable. There's no reason for a man of that magnitude to be doing that. And I said, before we went to the women, I said, now, I'm hearing that the women don't have anything to say good. There's no justification or rationale for this, for when the black man does it. I said, but now I'm coming up later with this. I said, we're coming back to this dialogue. And when we do, I said, I'm telling you now, before it happens, I don't think I'm going to hear the black women with the same kind of sense of responsibility holding the women accountable. And sure enough, by the time we came back around to Serena Williams, and you were there, you remember, and we started saying, now, why is she doing this, and blah, blah, blah. All of the sisters had these great excuses. Well, she's had bad relationships with black men, and I'm like, so none of the brothers have ever had bad relationships with black. I mean, it was in that, you know. And I said, you know, what accounts for, because I'm coming from a man perspective, and I'm throwing this out there because I want y'all to come out. I'm being 100% honest. From my perspective, I know that from a man's perspective, my sense is one of the issues is, as some of us are beginning to try to do better. It's difficult when black women don't want to feel that they have any, or at least that's our feeling. Our sentiment is like, when you say anything that sisters need to do, and it's not all, because you all are very vocal about this kind of stuff, so it's not all black women, clearly, but it's enough that it makes you uncomfortable. You don't even want to bring up anything, because you feel like if I say anything to a sister that they can do better, it's going to become a war, and all the women are going to gang up on me and feel like I'm attacking them.
I have a theory to that. You had mentioned that during the show, when it was on, when the women had the opportunity to speak on behalf of the men, they stated all their concerns. But then when it was time for the women to speak on behalf of themselves or their sisters, they kind of pushed back. Well, I just think, you know, there's psychology in that, though. I think that would be across the board. If you flip the script for the brothers, it would be the same way, because I think that we have trouble in general, both genders, in really looking at ourselves and being critical, you know, of who, you know, what we do to add to the challenges and the dilemmas. So I don't know if it's so much necessarily that, you know what I'm saying, it's women do it more so than men, that it's just that we don't like it to look critically at ourselves.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No. And I was going to say, and we also have to keep in mind where the person that the hurt is coming from cannot address the hurt. It's impossible. So if I am wounded by said men, black men, and black men cannot address my hurt because I am already guarded. If you, Genie, are hurt by black women, we cannot address your hurt because you already got it. And this is why we have to take individual responsibility. First, deal with self, so that we can then help each other. You are going to hear me better than you would hear a black male if you are bitter and you are injured from multiple black men. And the same with black men. I've seen it over and over. So yes, you may be coming to me as meek as you may be. I don't see your meekness. I see your blackness and your maleness.
All right, and let me challenge that. I'm going to tell you, because there's another thing. I don't know if you were here for this one. We had Dr. Owens in. We had Dr. Owens when she did her program here, and y'all saw that. Everybody out here watching wanted to chop it up. And were you here when she did her chopping it up in the evening?
That's the black belt, right? The lady.
Yes. Look, that's what she did. She didn't say the doctor. She, it was clear she was a black belt because you can see it.
She was serious.
Now, and the reason I'm saying I'm gonna challenge that because now in this case, she was challenging black men to be more responsible. Yes. She was very clear that brothers, y'all need to stop being beta men. I mean, she was calling the brothers beta men. Yes. I ain't never heard nobody call. I was like, I had to sit there. I hope I ain't no beta man. I had to go look it up. What's a beta man? Because I know the alpha is. What's a beta?
Alpha.
Alpha is the you know in the Lion Kingdom.
Right.
There's one male that leads the show. Right. He's the one all of them follow. Then the beta males are the ones that just follow behind and do what they
I
told.
see.
So she
Okay.
said we got a lot of following weak kind of beta men, but we need more. And then that's how she talking to the brothers.
Yeah.
And all of us were sitting in the crowd like, you know, we had to take it. So then she says, in sisters, there's a lot of sexual abuse out here, and there's a lot of negative stuff going on out here. And in order to protect yourself, you should never be out in public drunk. You should never be out in public doing these, and you be cautious of how you dress and everything like that, because you don't want to become an easier victim because you're out there doing that. Now everybody in the room, well, no, not true. Okay, all the brothers was like, yeah, that makes sense, and the older women were like, yeah. The two young women who had come for the first time got up and walked out, and then another sister in the back started jumping up. Wait a minute, so you justifying the rape of a woman because of da-da-da? And she said, I'm not justifying anything. Rape is never right. I'm saying, why is a woman drunk? We're not talking about what happens after that. We're talking about before that. Don't put yourself, if you already know you're in a predatory society, don't do it. And she said this applies to men too. She even went there. A man shouldn't be out there being drunk, because then you can't defend yourself or defend your family as well. So I'm saying for everybody. The young lady was yelling, until that's how we found out she was a black belt, because she stepped right to Dr. Owens. She went from doctor to to teacher, to my teacher. She went to my teacher. But in that case, where men were being criticized, and men was being criticized by a woman, and she was giving it to us, we were sitting there taking it though. But when she started saying to the sisters, you need to make this adjustment, it became a war even with her as a female. So I'm saying, does that not demonstrate that there is a sense of a heightened sense, and I'm not talking about for individuals, I'm talking about across the board, more generally. There's a heightened sense of we cannot be criticized coming from black women, particularly the younger ones, because like I said, two of them, look, they loved the program, but once she said, don't be out there being drunk because you put yourselves in harm's way because you're not as aware, which I think is just basic good information for anybody. That was enough for them to get up and walk out and leave. And this coming from a woman.
No. And I would say from my own experiences in talking with other females or having females talk to me, we have to really be wise and strategic in how we approach each other, right? So if Alkama is my sister and she's heightened and she's discussing something with me, she's already heightened, right? She's not going to hear me. So I may wait, and maybe the next day or something we having a table conversation and I just bring it up generally, just generalize it. It's the same topic, and just sitting there, just hearing me talk about something that has to do with what she was going through the other day. Generally, it hits her. Then she says, you just made me think about that. I think a lot of times we have, and we don't know this, we have a lot of our women, because I'm speaking to the women, a lot of us are walking around like with fresh wounds. Fresh wounds, and when you're walking around like that, it's like we call it the chip on the shoulder type of thing. Any little thing, we're walking around with that I wish I would attitude,
we got songs. I bust your windows out your car. theme song. Really.
Yes, and I think it's important for men and women to understand that we just need to start to try to understand each other before we start correcting each other.
I like that.
I think that's important.
I like that.
I
agree with that. And as far as healthy relationships go in general, and I agree with that, Hanifa, that what your initial statement about if somebody's just in heightened mode and they can't hear you, and it's just it becomes a combative situation, and that's a lot of the trouble that the male-female dynamic, the relationships we find ourselves in. It's like when you can never expect for the relationship to be perfect in every way.
Right.
It's going to always be some disagreements, some challenges, some thoughts and opinions that don't always match, and but I think a lot of us found ourselves in places where the ego takes over.
And women have egos
That's
too.
right.
We
That's
talk a lot
right.
about the male egos, but
Yeah.
we have them.
And I think
I'm going
Migos
to win
definitely
this
a big thing
point.
with the guys.
I'm going to win it. Well, both sides are saying I'm going to win this point, and they mean it.
Yes.
And they go through the whatever it takes to win that point, even if it means destroying the relationship. Yes. So we gotta be wiser.
And I would say this as well. One of the things, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but one of the things that I've come to realize about the sisters is that most of us grew up around a lot of drama. Mm-hmm. Too much. Mm-hmm. To where it has become our norm. Mm-hmm. And if we get into a space where it does not exist, we will create it.
Mm-hmm. Whoa!
Just so that we can
be comfortable.
Are you admitting that? I think
I'm admitting it because I've been there.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yes.
We talked about that on another one of our shows.
It's a real thing.
It's reality.
It's a real thing. Yes. Yeah.
So, and let me say, because of course I was about to really dig into it, because both of y'all totally dodged what I said. I gave my two.
Did we?
And y'all took that joint and slid and like ducked it, whatever. But actually, personal responsibility. But
I thought we were taking that now.
Well, you are.
So, I so now he can't.
I can't say that because because she picked something to take personal responsibility. But when I was saying in terms of hearing it, because y'all are doing it, you're demonstrating what you're saying what issues are. And I can start talking about some of the things as black men that we don't talk about that kind of go to what y'all talking about. And you're demonstrating it. But you still kind of ducked around the fact and the reality that black women have a problem hearing constructive criticism. I'm not even talking about negative. I'm saying from anybody. Listen, Dr. Crystal Owens was saying, sisters, be careful about being drunk out there because there are predators out there. Who can argue that that's not good advice from someone who has 2 PhDs and does family counseling and counsels people on a regular basis? That's just any father would tell their daughter that. Any person that's responsible would tell you that. How can you then be heightened and upset and 3 folks walk out because you're telling the women to be careful because it's dangerous out here?
Because they're not ready to change. They're not ready to change their behavior. So it does boil down to accepting responsibility. And of course, you can be dressed in total Islamic garb and still get raped.
Well.
Right.
So we get,
I was there that night too, that young lady. And we also got to put into perspective people's filters. Mm-hmm. We all have different filters. Mm-hmm. How are our filters created? Through our experiences. Mm-hmm. We don't know what her experience is. Something in what that lady said triggered that girl, because I was there. And it was like she was not hearing what the doctor was trying to say. All she zoomed in on was one thing, and then she twisted it.
To make it something.
Yes, that's really what happened.
That's trauma.
And let me say this, because I'm be honest, I remember now even better what sparked it. She didn't get mad. That's what she was able to make an argument on. You know what she got mad about? Dr. Crystal Owens said they have a thing called a slut walk now.
Yes, that's what
None of us should be out here being proud to be a slut. That's when she got angry.
Okay.
So now, we're actually in an environment where, and again, we can't say it's a male or female because this is a woman talking. A woman telling sisters, you should not want to be a slut. That's not something to be proud about.
Right.
And the women, young women get upset because, and the other young women, that's where they got upset. That was her justification and she took it there. But before they even talked about the rape part and that part, when she started talking about this slut walk, Amber Rose or somebody or another is doing this stuff and encouraging our women to get involved in this and we should have more dignity, that's where they got upset. And what I'm saying is, and this may go beyond just being able to take constructive criticism, but where are we? Because if we're in relationships, and again, I'm going to get to the brothers too, but right now I'm talking about, I'm a brother, that was a real situation. If we're in an environment where even a responsible black woman cannot say to black women, you don't want to be sluts, and you don't want to perceive yourself as a slut, and you don't want the world to perceive, if that is something for you to get upset and resistant about, then what condition are those young ladies in for any man to take seriously? And what I mean, because what this would mean is, I suppose it would mean that as a male, I'm supposed to want to date or be considering seriously to marry a woman who considers herself a slut?
So I'm going to take a different angle, and I know you're going to get to the brothers, Genie. I'm sure you are.
That means you better.
No, I'm okay. I'm comfortable talking about the sisters. I am a black woman, and so personal responsibility and accountability is important to our growth, right? Could it be that because this is a real thing.
Yes.
Could it be that for so long, black women have not felt protected by black men to where we are now in a space where we feel like we have to protect ourselves? Now, is that protection of ourselves over-exaggerated at times? Absolutely. To where someone is coming to you with their hands up and you still shoot them. If you understand my analogy, that person is coming to you in humility like the doctor was and trying to say, sis, you don't want to do that. And you shoot them because you're just so, over your protection of self is over exaggerated because you've been left to fend for yourself. The black man's failure to protect the black woman is a real thing.
100%.
It's a real thing. And in psychology, when you if there's no one, you learn to survive. If there's no one there, you learn to survive. For example, in psychology, there's this thing that they call hoarding, right? And this is where you have kids that may, the parents may say they're stealing food, right? Okay. But what they're doing is hoarding. It's not stealing. So you might pull up their mattress and there may be food underneath there and snacks. And in your mind, you're thinking roaches in your house. But in their mind, they're thinking survival. You see how those two different perspectives work? That kid has learned from their environment, from their experiences that I have to fend for myself because no one else will. And you having a fridge full of food, Genie, has nothing to do with it. They don't care. You could tell them all day, every day, you don't have to steal. I'm going to give it to you.
Trust factor. Something
has been done to that brain to where survival is their top priority as far as, feeding themselves. It has nothing to do with you. You're taking it personal, but it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And I feel the same with black women. We have learned that, you know what? No one is coming to our rescue. We have learned to survive without the black man. And also to not only that, we have now replaced the black man with a different protector that look nothing like us and don't have our best interest in mind.
And who is that?
The white man.
Teach on that.
The system.
Teach on that. Ashe.
So let me ask you this. No, this is good. This is good. This is some good dialogue. So let me ask you this. I'm 100% I'm just listening because what you was breaking down was deep. Help me tie that into, because again, remember, men, we're logical. Women are more feeling. So sometimes I have to listen to a woman to help me figure out how to make it make sense from where it's coming from, because I'm thinking X's and O's, and it ain't always X's and O's. So if a woman is saying, don't be a slut and consider yourself a slut, how does a woman get offended by that? Does she feel that she's a slut? Or has she bought into, is that I don't understand it. So I need help.
I think a part of that, and the truth be told, is connected to feminism, that whole movement, because the Amber Rose thing is connected to the whole feminist movement. And that's what the slut shaming, women's bodies being policed, for example, men being able to tell us what we can and cannot wear, what's shameful and what's not. I think all of that it was all connected to that. That's what we were discussing. And one of the ladies was trying to explain that. We don't say it's connected to the whole feminist movement, but it really is when you dig deep enough, it really, really is. And so because we live in I know, Genie, I heard you talk about what is patriarchy, and I think, I think we have to understand we do live in a male-dominated world. However, the black man is not really our oppressor. They have to have power to do that. And I think that we need to understand that. So the dialogues that we have, the conversations that we have, and the conversations that we need to start having within ourselves are important, because we have to see this to address it.
Right.
The issues are sight. Right. We don't see it as women to be able to address it.
I agree. And I think that also play again right on back to the whole what this topic is all about, what's wrong with our relationship.
You said that in the beginning.
Yeah. Because it's like if what she's saying is accurate, then and if the stats are correct that most marriages these days fail, well, why is that? Why is that? Is it because now we've taken on roles as women that you can't tell me what to do? I'm not listening to you. I'm not, what I'm saying? I'm not going down that route. I'm my own woman. I can do, I'm good. I don't need to take advice from you. As a matter of fact, listen to what I got to say. And as a man, in the natural roles of men, now you're feeling deflated. Now you're feeling, you know what I'm saying, unnecessary. and now here we head.
And there's a spiraling. And you know what's so interesting about this conversation? Because I'm listening, and it's like the pieces are coming together. Of course, I think you gave the synopsis in the beginning, which was really the answer. And as we talk, it's becoming more and more that, because you started by saying pretty much racism and the society is what is creating a problem between black men and black women. And as we start talking more and more, it comes out that black women, and I'm going to use one word that I describe to what it is relates to us: trust.
That's it. That's
Black
what
woman,
that was the ding ding moment
ding.
that I heard her explain.
You heard that too,
Trust.
right? I heard the trust.
Boils down to I don't trust.
Which is
But
important.
Black women don't trust that we as black men will, perhaps even can, protect and provide for our women and our children. And as a result, they begin to try to compensate and fill those gaps, which leaves black men who obviously, being as though for whatever reason there must be some legitimacy to our inability, whether it's unemployment or the difficulty of getting employment, whether it's getting pushed out of the workforce, whether any number of things, infidelity or former incarceration, whatever the reason is that we're not able to or feel that we can provide adequately. If our women feel that way and we're looking for them to look at us like other women look at other men, but we're not doing the things that other men are doing for the community, and if the reason boils down to racism, then what it means is there's no fixing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there's no fixing or even addressing black male-female relationships without addressing racism and how it impacts us. Because at no point are we having relationships with just us. There's a third party that's not sitting at this table right now that's involved in everything that we do with one another and involved in trying to create more and more difficulty and problems with each other. Good example. Coming from, again, I'm a man, a black man's perspective. I haven't even seen the film. I was in the movie Get Out. And I saw the 5-minute preview for a movie called Girls Night Out or something like that.
Girls Trip.
Girls Trip. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I was not already in love with black women and I did not know that this was a weaponized instrument to destroy our people and to make us look badly at our women, I'm going to just be honest with you. I would never date a black woman. Now, I'm looking at it and I know what it is, so it's not bothering me. I'm like, I know who I am. If I actually believed that this is how these women were, they were savages. I mean, just at 5 minutes, I was like, these are savages. But I know who's doing it, so it didn't have the impact on me. But if I didn't know, if I didn't know what was going on, I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't dating no black woman. They look good, because my eyes tell me black women look good. I mean, not like my wife. I mean, my wife, now that's looking good. I mean, regular black women look okay, but... No, I'm saying, I'm just telling the truth.
I know.
But my point being, I can honestly say that if someone is watching Precious and he's 15 years old, I can understand why a young boy at 15, if he believes that to be true, and if nobody is doing the correcting of the mind, and that's something they've seen as what a black woman is, and God forbid he has any woman around him any way similar to that, to make him believe that it's accurate, that I can't understand how you become confused. Just like for black women, if all they're going to watch is listen to hip hop, bees and ho and this, that, and the other, and they're looking at the guys, what's the popular Valentino dude or something like that, and he's supposed to be a popular entertainer, and then he's running out with a trans. So for a black woman to even trust a black man that he's heterosexual, and that then the other one said, I like dark butts. I don't do no dark butts. Like he doesn't like dark skinned women. I can understand if a black woman, particularly a young girl, does not know that there's a system that's creating this behavior, how she would say, I don't want to be one of these guys. Or if she's walking down the street and the white guy across the street is getting out in his suit and tie and he's walking across and doing and looking like he's somebody in a decent vehicle and looking responsible, and then the guy on her street got green underwear, how does she know? Because he won't wear his pants on his back and he don't have a belt, and she can see the green in his underwear and his pants are halfway down to his knees. I can understand why she would say, I want an actual man. That thing here is not what I want.
I guess, okay, so I have a question. Okay. So Okay, because we're talking about how oppression affects the male-female, black female dynamics and how they relate to each other. So when we go back in time, why were black households working? It was still oppression then. Probably some would say worse. So my question then goes to, does integration play a part?
Take it there.
In what we're seeing between male-female dynamic? How much of a part, if it does, like how much of a part does that play? Because the system of oppression existed.
It's always been.
Since we've been
But
here.
yeah, but black families for some reason were stronger then.
Yeah.
Right, they stayed together.
They did.
And I'm sure there were issues, of course.
Right.
But I mean, at the rate
Yeah.
that we're divorcing now, that we're splitting up, and single family homes. How much would we say integration plays a part in this discussion that we're the topic?
I would.
She's trying to get the championship discussion trophy for the day. I mean, she's just knocking them out the park, bro.
It just came to my mind as you were speaking.
She's a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse. And I would definitely say that. And it just goes. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. It's like, here we are. Now we're integrated, and now we've taken on the characteristics of the dominant force in the society. And so, you see their divorce rate. And you see ours. So it's like
And even without just looking at I agree with that. I'm saying even if we try to relate to each other the way they did, it's not going to work. Because our culture, under normal circumstances, without them involved, children respect adults. If we take on their culture and integrate, and children calling mommy out to them, that's not going to work for us. And these relationships that ain't going to work. So integration would destroy it, because as we take on their personalities, it just does not work for black people.
Yeah, and what we have as a guide is the media, is the one-eyed monster. So we sit down and we get real comfortable too, with some bonbons and a pillow and a blanket, and we turn that monster on, and it becomes our guide for our life.
Are we still
in a lot of ways?
Are we still on women?
No,
I'm saying in general.
No. The reason why I asked is because what I was going to say, I was like, I don't want the sisters to think like we're coming for them,
No,
I'm
speaking in general.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I come from a single parent household, and oftentimes when people bring this topic up, it's the whole single parent dynamic is blamed for a lot of the issues in the black community, at least when I hear it, right? And a lot of it I agree with, right? But that whole single parent thing that we have going on in the black community, we're so sensitive to it. We protect it because some women didn't have a choice. They were abandoned, right? And as children, we know that because some of us, our fathers just wasn't there. We cannot ever underestimate how instrumental single parent households are to the whole male-female black love dynamic. It is important. I can say for myself, as a female, my mom is 5 of us, 5 girls. I'm the baby of 5. And my mom, I didn't have an example of male-female dynamic. So my approach, and I'm healing, guys. I'm still healing.
You're a work in progress?
Yes, I'm a work in progress. But my approach to male, I did not know where they fit. I didn't really know where do you fit. Why do I need you in my space? Because I've seen my mom done it for herself all this time, and through no fault of her own, and probably some fault of her own. But I've seen her done it, and not only that, this is how it should be. It
becomes normal.
It becomes normal. And our single parent homes, sadly, for black women, a lot of us, being a single parent is not our plan B or C. It has become our plan A.
That's right.
We start planning.
When a lot of times when the baby showers and you hear of a woman being pregnant, the thought is never like, oh, congratulations for you guys or you both. Oh, congratulations. What are you naming her? Or when is the baby shower? It's like the whole father scenario in a lot of instances, in the circles that I bear witness to, the man is not even discussed. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, how do we get here?
And these are the sisters that we're running to each other for
right.
counsel.
Right.
And we're not getting sound and wise counsel. Because if I'm coming to you,
right.
if you're coming to me at that time and you're talking to me about, you know, some difficulties that, I'm not talking about him beating you or anything. I'm talking about like little petty stuff that you guys are fighting over, money, whatever it may be. My counsel to you would be like, girl, I wouldn't even put up with that. What? You don't need him. That is the key statement. You don't need him.
You know, life too short for all
that
that
would
drama.
be my response. Now, the space that I'm in, because of the self-work that I'm continuing to do on myself and have done, if someone comes to me, my thing is, okay, let's focus on what's working. And let's build on that. Let's talk about that. And not only that, holding that sister accountable. Because if there is any mess, trust me, you had a contribution in it.
Yes, better believe
what happens oftentimes is that we take ourselves, we're always the victim.
Better believe
we're always the oppressed.
Personal
we take ourselves out of it and it becomes him. We cannot hold anyone responsible to fix our world. That is your world. That is your kingdom. And this is why self-healing is imperative before we even try to connect ourselves to someone. Because when you connect yourself with someone, it is not about sex. It is not just about the physical. You are responsible. It is a responsibility to that person. Am I saying too much? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, sorry.
No. When you stop making sense, it's too much. When you dropping it like that, the numbers keep going up.
No, that's real, and we do that on both sides. We do that on both sides.
Yes.
I find, you know, when I ask men, you know, so what happened with your past relationship? And a defining moment for me is if they talk to me and they never hold themselves accountable for anything. It's always what she did wrong, and my antennas go up. I'm like, this is one that's not not prepared or ready, or to take personal responsibility. Yeah, and then because I understand, and so I'm cautious because I now understand that if you and I was to ever get into a relationship, you hadn't worked on any of that stuff in your past relationship.
You haven't seen anything that you did to contribute to anything, which means you're not going to see anything that you would contribute to here.
How can you expect change to occur if you're not even prepared?
You don't grow.
Yeah, prepared to accept that change even needs to occur.
And I would
say accepted that.
I'm going to say to most men, and I see Genie, I'm sorry. I will say to most men, and I've said this to some brothers, most of the times, you are not the man that she has the issue with. It is her daddy.
Yeah.
And I am not speaking just to women like myself who grew up in single parent household. I'm talking about women who grew up in 2-parent households, but their fathers were still absent. Not physically, emotionally. Or they've seen their fathers dog their mothers. This is a real thing. So we push so much for 2-parent households, and they are important. But we need to push harder for healthy. Loving 2-parent households. Not just 2-parent household. I think that's just, you aiming too low with that one. We need to aim a little higher. Because I know people that come from 2-parent households that are even more jacked up than I've ever been.
And y'all are doing, this is real conversation here. I'm gonna say one thing from the men perspective, and this is it's very difficult for men to talk about stuff. So a lot of the pain that men feel, because it hides underneath the ego, you won't hear. So I'm gonna tell you, and I know it is for a lot of men because as it goes to be a successful person, I'm a very successful person from the successful perspective. But the reality of it is, looking at it from the inside, not from other people looking, but from the inside looking out. I didn't have a father there growing up. Trying to figure out manhood is something not only was a struggle then, even to this day, all the stuff I'm doing for my race and everything like that, but there's still key elements of stuff that I still don't know.
Of course. And
I'm still struggling with. And I can say this, and I think it's a huge thing, we haven't brought it up, but it goes to the black men being responsible. This is a huge thing. When we don't have fathers in our lives that teach us skills that allow us to make a living for ourselves, then it forces us to rely on some other means to make a living. which means either if we fortunate enough to go through school and make it, and somebody does decide to hire us, then maybe we'll have a shot. But when that doesn't happen, now we have to figure out how we're going to be a man. And for us to be a man and to responsibly, see again the word responsibility, to responsibly have a woman and take the responsibility means I have to be able to make a living. I have to generate income. And for a man to feel good about him doing that self, if he has a skill, if he's an electrician or a plumber, you see these type of people. Now you got somebody who can do it. Because he's like, look, I'm looking for a woman. I don't got time for no foolishness. I'm about my life. I can make a living. I'm not begging anybody for nothing. I'm skilled. When you have brothers like myself in that way that don't have skills, we don't say it, but it's a death sentence on the inside because we don't feel adequate. Because like, I'll tell you, we work here all the time. Be like, you doing it, Genie? I'd be like, I don't know if somebody's going, the uncertainty, that sense. And see, it's one thing for women, but it's another thing for men. Women traditionally, I'm not saying it's worked in the last 30, 40 years, but traditionally, it's nothing wrong with a woman saying, I got a good man, I can rely on him. Because that's what men are supposed to, that's what makes a man feel like a man. But for men, to be that person means a lot. But to not be able to do it because we don't know how and nobody told us how. It's like we want the physical feeling to be comforted from women. We want, in matter of fact, it replaces the responsibility. What happens is we don't know how to be responsible. Nobody taught us. We don't know how, right? But we're not going to go out and say, hey, I don't know how to be responsible. I need a skill. I don't have a skill. I don't know what to do. So we just pretend like we the guy. So what fills that gap is, okay, maybe if I can't be responsible in these ways, then that means I'm not a man, but I'll be a man because I got all these women. I slept with her, and I slept with her, and I'm with her. But really, there's a huge gaping hole in the center because I'm trying to figure out what manhood is. So is it, if a dude say something to me, I shoot him? Or is it, I'm going to sell drugs, and now you respect me? Or if can I get a nice car? We really don't know because we don't have men there, our fathers there, who's supposed to tell us, look, son, she's going to say that. You don't let that get you upset. You just learn how to stay quiet and everything, and it'll go all pass over. Or, look, just get her some flowers and tell her you love her, and it'll fix everything. No, son, don't think that deep. It's like this, We don't have somebody tell us, no, look, this is how you work these things out. It's not that big a deal. So even in a relationship, like for me, going to what you were saying, the truth, I never been in a situation every day for a year where I saw a man and a woman interact with one another in a relationship. So things that are just simple that's going to happen in any relationship that wouldn't even be an argument otherwise, for me, historically, have been the collapse of a relationship because of some, because I don't know what they're supposed to be.
It's trial by error.
It's deuces. For me, it's I'm out. I don't need to deal with this. I am so, Alcama and I talk about this. I am a recovering runner. I am a recovering runner. Yes.
Peace. See these? See them and remember them.
I am a recovering runner.
This spells O-U-T.
You hit it on the head. When you have not had any example in how to deal with male-female conflict, you do what works best for you. And that's why I call myself a recovering runner. The other thing, two things you touched on, you're talking about the way that we're socialized individually as male and female. That plays a big part in the whole dynamic. And then we get into culture as a society, then we get into culture in the home, whatever the culture of your home was. The other piece as well, I have a 5-year-old son, and the piece that I think that women, and I'm going to speak to women on this because in the black community, we pretty much have a matriarchy by default, right? It's not...
Father in the home.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we have a matriarchy. So I think knowing this, as females, as women, as black women, raising boys and girls, but we're talking about, I'm speaking specifically to raising boys that we want to become men, right? We need to understand the power we hold because in that society, and I say that because if a society is a matriarch, right, it's a matriarchal society, that means the woman probably has a lot of power. A lot of influence, right? We need to use that to our advantage. Not to take advantage, but to use it to our advantage. And when I say that, I'm talking in a powerful, empowering, uplifting type of way as far as how it benefits the collective as a community. We need to understand we have power. I'm getting to it. So as males, right, when we're raising our sons, we're talking about how we socialize. Okay, and I've seen this. If a boy is coming from an environment, right, where mom was just abusive, verbally abusive, this happens. Verbally abusive, physically abusive, that becomes love for him. So I often say we're out here fussing about as a woman. I consider myself a good woman, you know, and I have my toe on great. It's there. But I'm a good woman, and so, but sometimes we'll say as good women, you know, the bad girls always win. We need to ask ourselves why. Why is it that our men, right, would go after certain type of females? And when you go back into how they were raised and how they were parented by their moms, right, and you see the mom, you see how mom carried herself, you see how mom spoke to that child, you see how mom didn't show affection. Right? It is nothing healthy and normal to be in a relationship with a stoic woman that shows you no affection, barely hugs you, barely tells you she loves. There's nothing healthy about that, but it is your norm. And so that's why you go after these type of women. We always talk about it when it comes to the female, and say we like these type of men because, you know, right, you know, because your uncles and the men that you grew up around were like that. But let's talk about the men and the women they grew up around, and why they go after certain type of female and pass over the good sisters. Can we touch on that? Whoa. Because that's a real thing too. Sorry, I see you.
No, I mean that's. Yeah. I mean that's you know, as we're having this dialogue, one of the things that I'm thinking.
Yeah, you want to tell the people what we're talking about? Just joining?
Oh yeah. We're talking about what's wrong with black male-female relationships, because, you know, just to tell people how we started. And let me get a phone number too. If you want to call in and contribute to the conversation, it's a powerful conversation. 641-715-3640. Again, 641-715-3640. Participation code 948-656#. That's 948-656#. We had picked, Alkamar and I said, like, what are we going to do for this next program? And we started naming the different things, financial issues, and how the finances affect relationships. And we named so many different things. We were like, you know what? It's so much stuff that we can talk about. Let's just ask so that the people can come in and talk about, you know, what's wrong with black male-female relationships. And I want to contribute to the conversation here now, because y'all have been saying so much, and what it's drawing me to. And I thought we were going to talk more about how to finance the specifics, but what's happening is I think we're having a different type of dialogue, but I think it's rich. And the reason I say it because we're not talking about symptoms now. Right. We digging deeper than the symptoms and getting to root things. Yeah. One of the things you mentioned integration, which I think is critical. Under the umbrella of that, what I really think, if we saying what is the source of these issues that we're having, I'm gonna be honest. As we're having this dialogue, I'm seeing the whole time we're talking calculated destruction of the black family. What I mean by that, when you say, well, you know, why is it that we were under oppression in slavery? Clearly oppression. And our families were more intact than they are now. I'm going to say this. Europeans sat at a table and calculated, we want to attack them in this way. So in other words, in slavery, they had us working for them for free. That was the calculated decision, and it worked. Now, it's not that they want us to work for them for free per se. They want to destroy our families. So when they say we're going to bring crack into the community because the black woman has been the anchor, the backbone, the one that when the men are weak in battle or hurting from battle, she rejuvenates another couple of generations, and then boom, they back on the battlefield. We got to crack her. So we're going to bring in a drug that will destroy that foundation that builds those strong generations up that come back to fight with us in the future. So they did it with crack. When they did it with knowing that there were a lot of social issues in the black community, and that they had made it more difficult for black men to get jobs, and they started pulling black men out of the workforce, then they would come to the black woman and say, you got two choices. You can starve to death and have the man, or you can take this money from us as a state, but you can't have a man in the house. They would actually come, the social workers, and they saw as much as a tile. If they smelled cologne in the house, they would take you off social assistance. You would get no money for your children. So literally a calculated, it's calculated. Even in the context of, and we're going to talk about this tonight, the movie industry.
Yeah.
Where,
go there, highlighting the drama.
Yeah, every message, that they and this is what makes it so effective. We turn on and we see a movie or film or television program with all black people. Nobody has to tell you the natural assumption if everybody you see is black, whoever put this together is black. What we don't realize is that the same folks that enslaved us, the same folks that brought crack in our communities, are the ones who are paying black people to do scripts that they've created.
Working behind the scenes.
So what that does is, when we're talking about why we having these situations and issues in our community, what we're not talking about is the calculated efforts to make sure that black men are incarcerated. How many black men are incarcerated not because they really committed a crime, but because they were harassed by police so badly that they responded a certain way, then they got locked up the first time, and now they can't get a job, and so now that situation with the law either depressed them so much that they quit, or got them in a situation where now they're in the system and they can't keep a regular job because they can't get regular employment. and I mean, these are a lot. See, these not. I'm not talking the ones that get shot and killed that we see. Even me, I'm telling you, like, if I told people the situation, whenever I tell people the situation I've been through with police, they start crying. And I'm just telling this just for people, just I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but just so people can get an understanding. I was actually in a situation where I was strip searched in a precinct. Now, I didn't do anything, but this is the deep part about it. I'm in the precinct, and I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the most like damaging things that, in terms of me as a black man looking at other black males. I'm in the cell. And the white boy telling me about to strip search me. And I'm like, we gonna bang, because it's not gonna happen with me. And it's a black police officer. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, I might get beat up down here, but it's a black officer, so I'm okay. And this is right over in Prince George's County. And it was 3 white boys. And one of them, they started screaming and yelling when I started bucking. I mean, it was like something from a lynching. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. It's a Friday night. And they were just going nuts. Oh, we got a wild one here tonight. We gonna have a good night. And they were screaming and yelling. And the white boy looked at me. I swear to God, I couldn't believe this. And he said, hey, buddy, I got the N-word spray. So you hear the white boy use the N-word. He's looking at me telling me I got the N-word spray. He looked at me like this. So I'm looking at the black dude. And I'm like, whoa. Because I'm like, he's a white dude. So I said it. I repeated it to him. I said, the N-word spray? I used the word back then. You know, I was N-word every day. And so he said, yeah. And he looked at the black dude and yeah. And I'm looking at the black dude, and the black dude looked at me. The black officer, I'll never forget this dude. And he said, just shut up and do what the officer says. He's probably half a woman. He's talking about me. And I'm like, damn. So I'm like, what kind of... And so it was one of those situations where I was like, you know, because I told myself I would never do that, but I did it because I was like, nah, this is not just no regular thing going on there. It was not that long after Abel Louima situation up in New York where they rammed the plunger in the brother. So I'm like, how far do I want to push this, you know, because I know where this might seem like it might be going. I was like, yo, this is a problem. My point being, I left there that day, and I told the brothers what had happened. They didn't believe me, though, because I was supposed to be at an event the next day, and I got there real late because I was messed up. And they were so used to me being this, you know, you know how I am. And that thing messed with me. I mean, even to this day, like, I don't feel any type of pain when I see something happen to police officers. I mean, I can't even describe how I feel when I see this. I don't feel like anybody else feels because I know what they do. But my point being, I know that I made it through that. But I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't like I just went there, that happened, and I left. Nah. To this day, whenever I think about it, I get red. I remember the guy's name. I remember exactly what he looks like, you know. He took stuff from me in front of the car. I remember everything he took from me in the car. And I'm just saying, the weight of the stuff that, and this is not just black men, this is black women too, of the things that black women, but the weight of the stuff that we go through in a society, it does come across in our relationships. Because I remember I was talking to a sister, and I was sitting there having gone through that. She don't know I went through all of this. Right. And even if she did, she didn't get the weight of what it was. Because, you know, you tell as a man, you don't tell how it really makes you feel. You don't cry. You just say this happened. So even if she heard it, she didn't understand it. And she was basically, we got into an argument because I'm trying to get her to understand how bad police officers are. And that's not her experience. And she don't understand where I'm coming from. And rightfully so. But I'm saying, now we having an issue as man and woman has nothing to do with her. She's not against me. But I feel like because she don't understand and feel the same way I feel right at this moment, but she hadn't had what I've seen and been through happen. And so now that's causing that me and her stop dealing with each other. I'm mad at her about something she don't got nothing to do with.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is stuff that like from the women's side, when y'all talking about how black men cheating and all the different things, lack of trust, brothers not being there, not paying the bills, and all the different kind of stuff that black men do that lead to it, to your lack of trust for us. It's legitimate stuff that we as men got to start taking responsibility for. The issue becomes, in my opinion, if we don't have, and I just talked to somebody about this week, I really believe this. I think we have to have we have to add 2 additional courses to all education for black youth. I think we need to have a black manhood course. I mean, like you have math every year subject. I think you need to have a room where there's a strong black man up there and all the little boys sitting there, and he's teaching them what it is to be a man and how you got to do to be a man.
Like a rites of passage.
I'm gonna say we can say it right back, but I'm saying, like you go to math, you take math every day you go to school.
Right.
I'm saying because we have a system that's fighting against us and re-engineering us, I don't think it's going to be sufficient just to do. I think rites of passage are excellent, but I'm saying I think that when we look at education, we say you take math, science, social studies. That's stuff that white folks put together. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying if we're looking at our survival, I think we actually need a manhood course where little boys, from the time they go to school, every day they spend an hour in there learning how to be men. And little girls have the black womanhood course. Because you're not just learning how to be a man. You learn how to be a black man, what it means to be black. You're not just learning how to be a woman.
Right.
You're learning how to be a black woman. And in doing that, that's going to cause us, the women are going to have to learn something about the men that they're dealing with and the condition the men are in.
Right.
And what kind of men they want to make them into and help them grow into. And the men are going to have to know, hey, these are our women and what's happened and what they're going through. So that when we get these children, if you learn that from kindergarten to 12th grade, you don't have to worry about interracial dating. You don't have to worry about homosexuality.
Really? That's my point. Really?
I have a question.
If you get trained that way.
That's where my point was going to. It's like, okay, so, all that's great. But then when they get out into the world and everything they see is pushing back on what they learn in school.
If they're properly educated from the time they go in to the time they get out and they're in a social environment where the other children are doing, so they have their own social environment. Once they get into the world, it'll be like water off a duck's back. The reason we have problems is because the reality of we do not have a social environment that supports what we're talking about here now. Racial loyalty, respect, responsibility from brothers, support and comfort from black women, cooperative working together. And that says, this is how it's supposed to be. Look at everybody around me. We all doing the same thing. We all going the same direction. And you grow into adulthood. That's not what happens. What happens is, if you're lucky enough, which most of us were not, let's be real, to have 2 black parents that were the parents that birthed us, that we stayed in the house with for our whole life, were there together and trained us in this way. Mm-hmm. Most of the people who got trained, not all, but most on some level, are living some kind of responsible life today.
So I have a question. Something that stood out for me that you said was teaching the children how to be not just a man, but a black man, not just a woman, but a black woman. Where does that template come from? Where are we getting that template for that from? And the reason why I ask is because sometimes I can listen or talk to different people, and their templates are still coming from a Eurocentric, right? What we've been told black is, whether it's through media, through just different forms of information, through propaganda oftentimes. Mm-hmm. So that's why I asked, where are we getting that template from, Genie?
I would say the people who I know, and let me tell you, we got 7710, 7327, and 3791. I'm gonna come, actually 3791 was first, then 7327 and 7110. We coming right to your calls after I answer this question. So we're gonna come to the phone. I'll let you get in here. I would say, and of course, I would love it if I was able to say I have the template, but I'm gonna tell you where I would go. Baba Baruti and Mama Ya Baruti in Atlanta, they have a school. But he also produces, they have a homeschool where they really teach our children to be Africans. But he also has an incredible amount of literature. I would say in the modern context, in terms of written literature, he is the premier scholar of the 21st century. I think that they provide the template for what it is. They have a book called A Warrior's Guide. And it teaches you, what meant fishing and just the questions you ask. I believe
they're African-centered.
Right.
From an African-centered perspective.
And it's not a corny African-centered, like something that's not realistic. It's talking about, hey, you need to know fishing, you need to know hunting, you need to know self-defense. But the practical things you need need economics and stuff like that. That's where I would send people to Akoben House, AKOBENHOUSE.com. So with that said, is that good?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, let's go. We're going to go to 3791. You're live on Chopping It Up.
Oh, wow. What's up, Genie?
How you doing, brother?
This brother Cab Adam Raw.
Oh, this is my brother, man. We still coming to get you, man. Y'all let us know when. We're going to come and build that garden, my brother.
Any day, man. I'm on the plantation. I'll take off any day. I'm happy to leave here.
Yes, sir.
But I'm at work now listening to I had to call in because, the government blocks the streams. But as far as black-female relationships, yeah, I think it's more of accountability. I mean, not on both, just per person. And the reason I say that because it's a little detail, but the short story is I'm an only child. My parents were never together, and I became a single father, and I had custody of my son. And it wasn't until 2 days before his 16th birthday when he was killed that I even asked the question why, because there was another black boy killed him. Now, upon that, I could have broke down, but my wife, I was single at the time, but my girlfriend was pregnant, and my son passed, and 6 months later I had a new son, and then wound up having a new wife, stepdaughter, and now we have a third child. Now, upon that, I woke up and became conscious and started studying, and I realized I had mommy and daddy issues. And it affected because of as far as emotion. Now, you would think an only child would have a good female relationship as far as affection and emotion and romanticism. But my wife brought it to my attention that that's what I lacked. And so I had to delve into that, and as we delve into it, we found out that she had daddy issues. And so we've been, searching out our issues, but it struggles when we get to the parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what happened, but my mom when I think about it, she was a black business owner, and they did a lot of things that we would consider conscious in this time, but it's like a standstill. And now we know where it stems from, that it was been hidden because we're, grown-ups now in our 30s and 40s. We realize, there's certain things that we've been missing. And our parents wasn't educated on that portion of it. Right. But when we get to the issue, it's kind of, it's like a dead end. You know what I'm saying? And like, we've had that conversation about my mom and everything like that, and my dad as well, and my wife's dad. And I think it's just more miseducation, and you just got to be open to deal with that pain because, most people, we don't know. We don't know about racism, white supremacy, and all those things. Right. And we just basically winging it. Yeah. And that's just my thoughts on it.
And thank you, brother. We really appreciate that. And I want to say one thing about it. I know the brother and his wife, beautiful couple. What I feel was really so important about that call, and this is what I think we all got to get to this point. He didn't say, my wife was complaining about it. He said, my wife helped me realize that I had these issues. In other words, he didn't reject it. Right. Then he didn't say, then I told her. He said, then when we investigated further, then she realized that she had, which means there are two people in a relationship who are both taking responsibility and saying, I got these issues, let's work together, do it together. That's how we repair the relationship between a black man and woman. Right. Not by calling up on the phone while we're doing a live program. That's not how. No, but I'm just being funny. We're going to go right back to our callers. But I think that what we just heard, honestly, is a simple example. That's how we fix this.
That's right. I agree with that.
I agree with that.
They together.
And I agree.
Married, not boyfriend. They married now.
Yeah.
I told Alkema this once. As a female, once you start to come into knowledge of self first, right, and just knowledge in general, you start to relate to the male gender completely different. I can say that for myself. Right. For example, if I meet a brother, you can be as fine as God knows what. My first thing is, why are you in my space and why am I in your space? That is the first order of the day. Why? Try to figure out why. Because I was explaining to Alkema, we have to realize not everyone we meet we're meant to sleep with.
That's right.
Sometimes you are just there to help that person along in their healing, or to even show them that they actually need healing. Because a lot of us are walking wrong and don't know we need healing.
Right,
Woo.
right.
So,
And I just wanted to make mention, he had said something along the lines of when he gained consciousness. Oh, what was he said? I wanted to make mention about. He gained he said he had to be open to healing.
Yeah.
He had to be open to the wounds and the pains, and I think that's very, very important, because that's what we do. We hide behind the pain. Especially we don't want these discussions. We don't want nobody to tell us we got mess and all that stuff. So we block it with any and everything, as opposed to just being open with ourselves and honest with ourselves that we need healing.
Yes.
And that's real. Let me do this. I'm gonna go to the next call. Let me just I just want to, that's not the right one. I want to, give me a second, brother, since I'm just trying to do my notes. So I want to make sure I get the things in order. So I got to, because they don't keep these numbers in order. So I just want to keep the numbers, make sure I get everybody who's called in a chance to get on. Let me go to the next call. And I'm going to 7327. You live on Chopping It Up. 7327.
Hello, I just got unmuted. How you doing, guys? How you guys doing today?
Fantastic. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good afternoon, kings and queens.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'd like to add on to what the brother was saying before. I'm 50 years old. I'm a life coach myself, and I was a single parent myself, raising my son. And it was very enlightening for me when I started raising my son, because I went through some counseling issues as well, because I wanted to understand really how it was you have to really learn how to be a man coming from a single parent. And it was my mother. So she was raising me. My father was not in the picture. But I realized after going through the military that women have a very hard time raising a man because they're females. They know how to be females. We all have our special talent. And that's why it takes two in that household to raise a child. Even if you're not together, you have to come together for the sake of the children, not being separate and having our he and she issues. Because if the mom is telling the child that the father's bad, and the dad is telling the child that the mother's bad, the child's looking at themselves like, well, then I must be all bad.
That's right.
That's good.
Good teaching.
Yes.
Yep.
So I said, it takes two people to make it, but only one to break it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Powerful.
We come together so as a unit in the black community. I mean, I also agree with what you and my brother were saying, that back in the day with the slavery and going all through history, up through the women's liberation movement, whereas in actuality, and this is not a prejudice thing or racist thing, white women gained from the women's movement.
That's right.
Now, back then, we all were together as a unit. When Martin Luther King, Malcolm, and the Panthers and all of that was marching around, black people were more of a unit together. What happened was the government started this movement to separate us. And you touched on it yourself, my brother, when you're saying, like, separating the black family. And that was the biggest issue that we have to face today. Because we got separated, we have a lot of moms raising boys who can't grow up to be men because women can't raise a man. You can raise a child, and you're going to do the best you know how to at that time. We're doing the best you can. I give it out here to all the sisters and queens out here, because you're doing the best you can at that time.
Yeah.
When we look back in hindsight and say, I raised my son myself, and I know I've made many mistakes, I can look back and say, oh man, I would do that over again. I would do this again. I would do that again.
Right.
It takes two to raise that child, man. My question, how do you guys feel the women's movement, per se, aided in the rape of the black community as a whole? And how do you feel as far as we needed to get together as a community? I mean,
let me do this, brother. I think they got a call, but we got a lot of different callers and we don't have a lot of time. So I think they got your call. You want to find out from the sisters how they feel about this woman's movement as opposed to a black movement, or where it fits in a movement altogether, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you, brother. Excellent call.
Yeah, another excellent call. You have some very intelligent viewers.
I mean, I personally, I think it was more detrimental than anything else for black women. And the other thing that he touched on, as far as women raising boys, women trying to raise boys into men, I believe that you should not have too much of any one thing. Too much of any one thing is it's not enough. So too much of the feminine is not enough, and too much of the masculine is not enough. This is where balance comes in.
That's right.
It is, and this is where balance comes in. And as women who are, if you can figure it out, as far as you're not with your child's father, you know, that's why for me it's important that my son's father, my ex-husband, is there. Yeah. Because I cannot do what only the masculine can do. I can do what the feminine can do. Right. I got that on lock. Right. But I need his dad to come through on the masculine part. Right. Because I am not wired that way.
Yeah, the yin yang and the balance thing. And I think we do ourselves an injustice when we try to hoard our children away from that masculine energy, because hence the imbalance occurs. Yeah. And we like to predicate everything on money. And that's dangerous too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know it's a necessity and of life. I get that. You know, but if it means that you're not getting the money you want from the man, and that is the sole reason why he can't see his children, well, you're doing not only your children an injustice, but yourself as well. Because that seed is not getting what it needs.
And you're doing the enemy's work.
Yeah.
You're intentionally debilitating and incapacitating a child who could be properly balanced. Yeah. You're preventing that from happening for your own reasons, which ultimately is going to benefit the system, because that child's going to either end up in prison, where they're going to make money off them, or on some other kind of dysfunction in society.
And I'm not saying that to excuse any behavior from the men. Right. I'm not excusing, the men do need to step up and be more responsible for their children
but
as well.
You said if you're doing it because you're upset with them.
Specifically and solely for, because, he didn't pay the child support this month, so therefore he's not seeing his child type scenario. Right. That's dangerous water to be treading. Really, it is.
And let's go to 7110 out of Dallas, or I think that's out of Texas at least. You live on Chopping It Up.
Carter?
Oh, thanks for taking the call, Irritated Genie. I wouldn't expect to be on the phone, but the only thing I would add is that one thing we fail to look at, like people say integration, but we got to ask ourselves, what would make a black family want to move out the black community to another neighborhood where he's only exposed to other races, and that impedes a relationship between the black male and the black female. That's one thing I wanted to add.
Good point.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Excellent. And I'm going to jump
You're welcome, brother.
Yes, sir. I got to say one thing he's saying, and this is where one thing we said it, but we haven't really talked about in depth. The reality of it is, even though we know that our enemies are orchestrating the destruction of the black community, the bottom line is, if we're not responsible for our own behavior and countering it, black folk are not going to be around black folk. And I say that because if a woman is, this is the honest to God true story. I'm telling you, a sister I know from Chicago, I used to work with the job I got fired. She was one of my supervisors. Great sister. She told me when she grew up in Chicago, because her family wasn't rich, so they were going to have to go to Cabrini Green. And her father worked like extra jobs. And you know why? She said her father would not allow them to be put in Cabrini Green. She said every woman she knew, it was a known thing. If you live in Cabrini Green, you're going to get raped. Like she did, it wasn't there's not a woman that you can talk to that, I grew up in Cabrini Green, I didn't get raped. And when she told it to me, it was
standard operator.
It's no question in the hallways, coming home you're going to get raped. By 13, you're going to get raped. So she said for that reason, her father worked extra jobs and everything to make sure that they did not have to move to that community. Right. And what I'm saying by that is, to his point, if we don't have communities where black people feel safe, then we start complaining and saying, well, people that get it move out. Well, yeah, but there's two sides to that. People who don't want to be in a dangerous environment going to move out if they can move to a place. So we got to find a way to start repairing our own behavior, even though we know that the enemy is driving it. If we don't take responsibility for our own behavior, black folk are not going to want to be around black people.
I agree with that. And that's a very important point as well, because we do that. We make a habit of doing that. And, we'll point that finger, although, every cause, there is always a root to every cause. And I started off by, giving my assessment of what that root cause is. we cannot expect the same people who's oppressing us to fix this problem.
That's right. Thank you.
We can't.
Thank
you know
you.
what I'm saying? It's just, you might as well be on a suicide mission if you're waiting for that to happen. So then what must happen? We have to take the reins and the responsibility and the accountability to fix this issue.
Absolutely.
For ourselves. Or it won't get fixed. It'll just go from bad to worse.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to the next call. And we call out the callers by the last 4 of your digits. So I'm going to go to 1686. But in saying that, I think in addition to us having literally part of every curriculum for black youth needs to be black manhood for the boys and black womanhood for the girls, I think we need some kind of, I don't know what it would look like, but some kind of healing centers, family relationship centers, where if you just a person that's dealing with a hard time in your relationship, you can go there and sit down and talk to somebody to help you through. Actually, it's just Dr. Crystal Owens, actually, they do this kind of work and everything. But I think it needs to be standardized across the board where all the problems that we're dealing with now, a lot of them, if we just had somebody we could talk to that was responsible, that wasn't trying to exploit us or trying to sleep with you and all that kind of stuff. Right. Just one of you, because you know the reality, this stuff happens, but you sitting down and they just want to help.
Right.
In a healthy kind of way.
Right.
I think we could deal with a lot of the situations that we're dealing with.
And with respect on both sides. That's so
right.
key. I say we find we disrespect each other so much. And it becomes like water on a duck's back nowadays, especially on social media where we spend a lot of our time and energy anyway in communicating with each other.
This morning, a sister walked by. And the brother was sitting there talking to me at the table. And he looks out and he look, as a sister. I mean, I don't be looking at sister, but I just happen to look and see, why is he looking like that? And I look. She had a shirt, B-I-T-C-H.
Yeah. That's where we find ourselves these days. Yeah. That's kind of standard in a lot of...
Now, this is her shirt. I didn't say somebody called that. This is her shirt saying that.
That was one of my biggest issues with that movie, that Girls Trip movie. It's
and
like,
you know what? We're gonna do one and talk about some of these movies. We're gonna do that too. I think our people need that. Let me go to 1686. Okay. You live on Chopping It Up. 1686. You live on Chopping It Up.
Kamani.
All right, thank you. How you guys doing? How you doing?
Fantastic. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to add into the conversation about, men and women, our relationship, black men and women. I think one thing that's important for us as black men is that we need to learn to make ourselves more vulnerable. Because, we often enter into these relationships with guarded. We enter into these relationships guarded, but we tend to think of it more of a woman thing. How women have these walls that we often speak of, but we also have these walls as well that we need to lay down for ourselves. And this is why when we enter into relationships, we keep in, extra women on the side, and just in case something in the previous current relationship that we're in doesn't work. So we're already going into the relationships with our minds thinking that it could possibly fail. So we're not vulnerable enough to even allow the relationships to work. And I think if we allow ourselves to be more vulnerable, then we'll be able to allow ourselves to be fully engaged in the relationship that we're in.
Wow.
All right, thanks for dropping heavyweight bombs, brother. We really appreciate that. Stepping all on feet up in here, brother. You got
my favorite topics.
That
was vulnerability. Yeah. The funny thing is, the brother is talking about men being vulnerable, and it's a real thing. Yeah. And he talked about them thinking it's a female thing. And here's the thing: it goes back to black women not feeling protected by black men, right? And so we take on this roughness
exterior
about ourselves. And let me tell you something, brother. Black women have a hard time with vulnerability too, because we see it as weak. That's the thing. Just like how he said it's a female thing, and most of the time we think female is synonymous with weaker, right? So black women who have been hardened through experience, through life, through bad encounters with black men, they do not do vulnerability either. I can speak on that. Yes, as sisters, vulnerability is as difficult for us as it is for our men. I agree. So you have two people coming into relationships who are guarded and who will not for their life, be soft with each other, open up to each other, and there's suffering inside. And then what we see manifested is anger and hostility towards each other. And we never ever get to the root of the issue. And the root of the issue has nothing to do with the person that we're with.
Let me ask you a question, because that's over.
I just want, and even when we want to be vulnerable, everything in our being wants to be vulnerable, wants to open up, wants to let loose, but we fighting it. We fighting it, and it's like a stress. That's trust factor.
Trust. I will not be vulnerable with you if I don't trust you.
That's right.
Can I trust you with the information that I'm about, that I want to give? Can I trust you with the deepest part of...
Jackson, my phone number is 305.
Could you hit off on that? Hit off. Just hit off. Yeah.
And
hit it again.
Pick it up and hang it back up.
Hey, okay, I'm sorry. No, I was saying, the question then becomes, can I trust you with the deepest, darkest parts of myself?
Yeah.
Can you handle it? Will you still be here after I tell you?
Or will you not crush me?
Will you not crush me? Will you protect me? It goes back to trust. And let's flip it now, Genie. The men are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Can I trust you with that part of myself? Yeah. What if I tell you? Would you emasculate me with the information I'm giving you?
Good teacher.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's a trusting on both sides.
I'm gonna say it's trust, but it's also, and I can speak because I'll be honest. Like when I'm hearing him say it, that's why I say he's stepping on top, because I'll be honest. To this moment, there's only a certain level. That, I mean, it's like, and I liken it, and see, I'm not sure I'm right. That's why I'm pausing when I'm saying it, because I might be wrong. So I'm sharing personal stuff here, but. Like, for me, I got to focus on this race. I know I got to take care of my family and everything, and that's important to me, but ain't nothing more important than this race for me. It's like, it's not even a discussion with me. So for me, I know that the one thing that really that I've seen, looking at historically, that a man can get to him is the woman. All the other things you do in the world, but if a man's going to fall, if you want to get a strong man, a committed man, where you get him at, if you can't get him, if he got his woman by his side, he good. If he's really true.
A good woman.
A good woman. If he got a good woman by his side and she with him, he's going to get through it. But, so with that, I've always, and this has been my whole life, even to this moment, and I don't know if it's right or wrong. That's why, like he was saying, we should be more open. I can honestly say, I don't know. I'm not saying that I think that y'all are right when I'm listening to guys. It makes more sense if both parties open, y'all share, that y'all can. But like, I really don't know. I think you should be open, like, with truth. I definitely tell the truth, share all of that. But
what do you mean you have reservations about being open with your wife?
I mean, information? Not information at all. No, not information. I'm talking about
there's information,
vulnerability,
and then there's information.
No, it ain't information. It's not information I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about emotion. Like, in other words, how emotional I get with.
So vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerability. Yeah, it's vulnerability. Not information.
No, right.
I don't think you can have a good relationship if you're dishonest.
Yeah.
But in terms of vulnerability, like, is a man supposed to be able to? Because he was saying, he mentioned information, but he was talking about vulnerability.
Right.
And I'm going, is a man supposed to be vulnerable?
So it's saying, like, you're open, you're able to say, this is what happened, but not able to say, this is how I feel about what happened, or this is what happened has done to me.
Right.
That's the disconnect I often see, at least in dealing, both male and female, not being able to make the connection, connect the dots, and not even wanting to.
Right.
You know, because most males don't want to talk about feelings.
Right.
For what?
Right. And I think that goes to the barriers being, up. So it's like, and because my mind goes to, well, how do we do that? How do we gain that trust back? So if we know that is an issue in the communities, then how do gaining the trust? Do we become more vulnerable? And but see, that's hard to just say, yeah, we should, in a society or in a situation where all we have is open wounds, open sores all over the place.
And I think I almost know that y'all are right. You have to be able to be vulnerable with them, because that's your partner. Y'all got to lay on each other when you fall.
Right, and because that becomes expressive. So now you're expressing what's going on inside you, as opposed to
right. And I'm saying, I know that I'm expressive. I know that I ain't, information is not any issue. I'm like open book. But my issue is I reserve a part of myself so I can always, no matter what, I'm not I'm not gonna get hurt and get messed up. And then all of a sudden, because I've seen it, where men get the men that's been in this movement that I know, the strong ones, the vast majority of them, the vast majority of the strong black men in this movement for our people got out. It was not their economics. It was not a tragedy in life. It wasn't changing their mind. It was they got with a woman, and she fought with them against this, and saw this as a competitor with her, and those men end up not doing this work no more. And I'm not talking about some serious. I'm talking about
serious to begin with.
No, they were serious to begin with. I'm talking about no, that's not true. No, that's not true.
I mean, you know, if this is your
that's
passion,
not true.
your life's work, it can't nothing stop you from doing it.
You see, you saying two different things now. But those men were vulnerable. Those men say, "Hey, I'm everything." Yeah, but what they didn't know is that those women smiled and said, "Yeah, this is cool what you're doing," but then in every way, shape, or form, pull their life in this direction. So now you got your child. If you keep doing this work, you're gonna have limited time with your child. Now you for somebody that believes and be able to. So it's like.
So they had to make a choice between the movement and family.
And that family, which if they had known that was what they were getting into, they wouldn't have done it. But once they get into it, they fall. And I'm gonna say these men were committed. I mean, like, I know I was out there with them.
But for me, that sounds like an unequal yoke. That's what that sounds like to me. That's an unequal yoke because you shouldn't have to choose. I mean, now of course there's limits and too much of anything isn't good for you. So there's always a balance, even in that. You know, even in your fight.
You know, we're gonna do because this is a good conversation. We're gonna do another program about being conscious or in this movement and getting to meet. Because I think that's more what this is going into. Now it's going into. It's not just black male-female relationships. Now we're talking about if you had a mission.
You in a specific area.
In a specific area, and I'm listening. I'm like, because I'm hearing what he's saying, and I'm like, wow, this is it's shaking me up. Let me go to 4935. You live on Chopping It Up.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, family. I just wanted to give y'all the greetings. I'm a Muslim brother. My name is Yasin Muhammad. But I wanted to first, thank you. So I wanted to first say, now I want to agree with my brother on this point. I think a lot of our problem is that we are too emotional. We don't really understand the fact, all of us, male, female, we're just overly emotional because we're hurt. We're like a dog that's been abused. If you ever seen a dog that's been treated well versus a dog that's been abused, that abused dog is acting.
Oh no!
You broke up on us.
Something comes near it. It's either too afraid to approach, or it's too vulnerable, and then might be a little strange. Or we have a history of being abused as a people. And another thing that we need to really look at is that it's more natural than we think. And so a lot of the songs that we come up with, we trying to solve something on the surface when it really goes all the way down to the root.
Exactly.
There was a study that I saw that said that there was basically this prison in California, and when they were doing a rehabilitation program, what they did was change the diet of the individuals that were in the prison. Now, their recidivism rate went from 98% down to 2%. So when we talk about the science of man and woman, we got to realize first that we have an enemy that is really wise in killing us. And it goes way beyond just police brutality or, not having schools and not having money. It's in the food, it's in the water, and it's killing us as men and women. So what we really need to do is separate ourselves mentally and physically to really understand the tricks that are being played on us and the attacks that are coming on us so that we can do something about it, particularly with the food, with the water, and education. Now, the second thing between the relationship between the men and the women with vulnerability and the way that goes, men have to be careful with that because, like Brother said, a woman will easily take you off your path and your mission. Easily. Because naturally y'all want attention. And we want to give y'all our attention, but we want to use those two with the mission. If the mission isn't your goal and my goal, then that's where the conflict is. But if you're deceiving us to make us think that you want the mission, and then at the end of the day you don't, that's not the right mate. You got to find the one that's really willing to go to the ends of the earth for you, because you trying to get out, and if you got somebody pulling you down, then you're not getting out. So you all have to both be able to run to your goals. So you have to, we have to be very wise and careful on how we pick our husband or our wives, because there's a person that we're setting up a new foundation for a new world that is better than the one that we come from.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Outstanding, man. That
That
brother set it off, didn't he?
Conversation.
Now you said, let me just, I'm gonna come to you, but I'm gonna let you know, 8691, we're coming to you next, so don't you fret. We'll be right with you in one moment.
I have a question. So, thank you, brother, for your input. My question, based on what he said, and I've been thinking heavily about this, the idea or our concept of love, and how we see it as black people.
We've talked about that.
Yes, has come, through the media, it's turned it into something else. And let me just say this. People who are in power people who are oppressed cannot love the way the oppressors love. We can't do it. We can't afford to do it, is what I'm saying. In other words, you go in there with all this romanticism, right? That's connected to love. So my question then is, should black people be approaching this whole love thing completely different? And I'm talking about people who are in warfare, because we are at war. What should that look like? Because we are trying to emulate something that's been given to us, and because people are saying, this is how you love. This is how
it's not working.
It's not working. This is how you propose. This is how you do family. This is how
somebody to make me feel this way.
Yeah.
It's like,
So do we need
to
go back and do we need to step back, right? And evaluate this. Are we doing this the way that we should do it within the context that we're in right now? Because if we're in war, we can't function like we're at peace. We cannot, and that's across the board.
And I'm going to say the easy answer to your question is no. Now, the hard part would be to say exactly how should it look like.
Right.
What I can say is this, and I don't talk about, y'all bringing me stuff, I'm not talking about stuff I never talk about, but I don't even want to talk to my wife about this before. She might get mad at me. Don't get mad, I love you. But, my concept of love, and some of this I got from Baba Kwesi, just hearing some of it, like when we were in Kemet, he said, we got this idea of this romanticizing. He said, we're not Romans. He said, it's about respect. That's what love is. I say that I'm going to do this, and I do what I say I'm going to do, and I'm there for you.
Right.
Yeah. And in the marriages, he says it's about respect and keeping our word and our commitment to one another. For me, and this is, of course, it's who I am, so I'm not asking anybody to take this, but like for me, love is, and I can only be a man, so I'm just be honest. I've already made a decision what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight for my race. There's nothing to debate on that. Love for me is the woman that says, that's why I'm with my wife. That's what you're doing, I'm going to help you. I'll be there. You want to have children? Yeah.
For sure.
And I know you're going to be out there fighting, so I'll do, I got to do my part, but I'm saying, I'll take a lot of that burden of that part.
Right.
When things get rough, because I know what you're doing, they're going to get rough. They got rough. They got rid of me. I make $115 a year, and it's gone. She said, I'm going to be there.
Right.
For me, the love of it for me is not this feeling.
Right.
It's, she's there with me doing this. And that's all that the love is for me. It's that commitment, and that we said we're going to do it. We might not always get along. We're not always friendly. But it's like, I know she's there.
But you know what else that word keeps creeping up, even in that scenario, that trust. Because she has to trust you in order to let you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that whole lack of trust thing.
And I got to be responsible. Responsibility. I can't abuse that trust. Say I'm out here, I'm fighting for my race. She found out I'm with some white chick out in Springfield. I'm riding around with Genie or Amy. Like, nah, that's not gonna work,
Yeah.
And that's real. Yeah. That's real. And I can honestly say I think that's a good question, because I think we really do have to sit down and reevaluate not just the word love, but
Just how we
what
do
are
our
black relationships
how we do
supposed to look
relationships.
like?
Exactly.
Yeah, how we do relationships.
Yep, because our template for them is a Eurocentric one.
And it's not working.
It's not because it's not
working.
because it's not for us.
Right.
It wasn't designed for us.
It was not designed for us.
Right.
I like to
And
say
it wasn't
that about
designed
the
for us under
American.
warfare.
I talk about the American dream all the time. Like people talk about the American dream. The American in the American dream was not you, black man and black woman. You weren't even considered an American.
So to buy into the American dream, you have to stop being an African under siege and
Absolutely.
warfare.
Teach.
Which means you die as the person inside.
And become illusional and assimilate completely. And you're disillusioned and assimilate completely.
Yep.
And to assimilate in this dominant society, you have to shed your Africanness.
Yep. Hence is the definition.
From the inside out.
The definition of brainwashed. Yep.
Let's go to 8690. Woo! It's getting hot up in here. Hey, we got 5 more minutes. Let me go to 8691. Come on in. Chopping it up.
Yeah.
8691.
Oh, peace, family. Praise Matt Turner.
Hi.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear us, brother?
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Praise Matt Turner. Yeah, because, you know, this is his month. Good dialogue going right now. That's our
Praise Nat Turner. I'm
what
sorry.
I wanted to add.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I had for black men, it is businesses. Like for our women being on the workplace, working for the white man, like as a whole, on a general sense, we're not gonna get the respect and be able to move forward like we need to from our women, because number one, the white man, if he's signing a check, like if that's who is feeding them, that's who's responsible for the money coming in the house, whether y'all both working or not, she gotta go answer to this white man. You know, she's on schedule for him. She can't be late if you tell her to stay. She got a date with you. She got a date with her man later that night. Y'all got a hot date. Finally got the children to be babysat by whoever, whatever. Wow. If he tell her to stay, Mr. White Man, she's going to cancel with her black man to do the bidding for that white man. You feel me?
Yes,
so
we feel you.
It's so much around, like, it's so much in that with the whole business thing. Our women working for the enemy, us not having enough businesses to be able to put them to work, them seeing our businesses as they go down the block, all of this. Even if they don't shop in there, you know, we can only sell men products, but them seeing it, you know, it'll make a big difference. Like, even with the bosses hitting on them and, you know, the sexism and the discrimination that they got to face, like, the faggots on the workplace is another big thing, because they got the black man out, especially the masculine one, and they got a lot of these faggots in there. So, like, even if she has knowledge of self, chances are she'll be able to go in that environment and still be able to come out and kind of be regular. But if she don't, and she's going in that, getting swayed by these crackers and faggots and these white men around them, like, these are the men that's around them. If she's working in the job and it's 50 men, 50 males, and you know, she sees a couple of them looking at her, whatever, she thinking about selecting a man on the job, only 2 of them black and 1 married. Like,
and 1
so
gay.
and 1 is a faggot, right? So what choices do she have? So just the whole workplace structure from top to bottom. Yeah, we got to work on that, black men. We got to bust that up. We really do.
Well, thank you, brother. That's been absolutely a powerful closing statement. We're going to wrap the program up, but thank you for that call, my brother.
Yeah.
All right, straight black pride.
Straight black pride. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, it's and I think that's...
Well, let's do this, because we got about 2 or 3 minutes. We might go over a minute or 2. Let's start talking about something, because I think even in this discussion, we've had some solutions. Because I remember we talked about it, and you said, we can't leave no discussion like this without some solutions. So, because it's easier for me to start with this one, because we got to figure another one out, I won't be able to do it. But I think one thing we learned from this discussion is that we heard a brother call up and said His wife helped him realize he had mommy and daddy issues. And then through that working together, he helped, or she realized that she had daddy issues. So what we're finding is that when people are committed to each other and they're dealing with issues, if they work together, black man and black woman, we're honest and open with being able to hear and realize that we have some issues, then together we can work through those issues. So I think that's one solution, that if you get your partner, instead of throwing it away, let's be open and honest and discuss things. Find out what part we're bringing to the table that's a problem and begin the healing process while working with our partner who knows that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Any more solutions?
I go back to it. I know this is a huge one, but it's separation for me, and that's in every facet of our existence. And I know, a lot of times when we hear that word, people think of the physicality of what that means. That we got to pick our bags up and get to walking, say the Trail of Tears or whatever. But no, I mean, you can, for me, separation is being closer to my own people. It is
social environment.
Social, supporting black-owned businesses and building that up, making that big and strong. It's, every facet of how I think in terms of my day-to-day life and affairs, being more oriented to who I am, my blackness, and building that up and making that stronger. And leaving all the rest of that behind.
And if I can, in terms of what you're saying,
that's
I think
damaging.
I think that this is a great example of what we would call separation.
Yep.
Here you have a black-owned establishment.
That's right. Good teaching.
We're in a studio.
Black-owned studio.
Black men, black women, and we're talking about our issue, and nobody else is here.
That's right.
And anybody that's listening, even though it's through Facebook, at the end of the day, is targeted towards our people.
That's
and
right.
Socially and intellectually, right now, no one else is contributing this but all black people discussing what we can do to repair our relationships.
Good teaching.
So this is an example of what you're talking about.
Yep, and helping each other heal. The conversations coming in from the phones. Now, and we are all collectively helping each other heal. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Yeah.
My sister. Don't be saying you got to eat all this fire. You done brought all the.
And then you try, I guess. What's the smoke? You got a little bit of smoke left.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say, for me, it's always the same. Knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is the beginning of it for me, because when you talk about knowledge of self, you can't talk about it without dealing with our own issues that we have within ourselves, And if you are not, because if you can't heal self and you get into a relationship, you're going to mess that other person up.
Yes, ma'am.
So knowledge of self and healing follows after that. And I feel like individually, we have to heal individually on our own, and then when we come together, we have to heal as a collective as well. So that's always mine.
Right. Yeah. And can I put a shout out for our show again?
Absolutely.
So Hanifa and I,
that means without me, right?
Hanifa and I, we host a show every week on Wednesdays called the Empower Hour right here on elifemedia.net. That's from 2 to 3 p.m. Like our Facebook page, and you'll get all the more information on our different topics we do every week. And that is the Empower Hour Talk Show on Facebook. Like that page, and you'll get all our past video recordings and the upcoming ones. Thank you so much.
All right, well, brothers and sisters, this has been another fantastic episode of Chopping It Up with the Genie. I know you've enjoyed what you heard this evening. It's been a phenomenal program. Great input from the brothers and sisters. Let me just make sure we still live on eLife Media. Yes, we are. So we wrapping up here, brothers and sisters. Want to remind you, tonight is going to be what they call off the chain, off the meter. We're going to be talking about feminism, the color purple, and the war for the mind of black women. That's tonight, 6 p.m. It's going to start. We're going to start live broadcasting around 6:20 or so between 6:20 and 6:30. Let me tell you, if you're in the area, you want to come here tonight. It was Al Kamar that was talking. She's seen the entertainment series, and the second one where we talked about the color purple. We're not doing the whole thing, but we're going to do it tonight, and we're going to also talk about. I got some stuff tonight. I promise you, brothers and sisters, you want to be here.
Yeah. Can I just say something real quick about that color purple?
Yes.
Yeah, because I said that color purple breakdown that Genie does so brilliantly was that gave me the information to help me with everything else I see in the media. Everything else, the way he brilliantly broke it down, you know, to a part where it's undisputable, and you'll see for yourself if you come in to check it out tonight. It's, you know, sometimes, you know, you hear, you know, critiques and hear things people say, you're like, yeah, well, it could be go a different way. This information is undisputable. The way he presents it, there's no doubt that what's actually going on behind the scenes and we're being manipulated. And so that information he gave through the color purple, breaking it down, helped me moving forward to understand everything else I watch in the media. So
6 p.m.
Yeah.
6
p.m.
p.m.
Powerful information. You need it. You don't want it. You need this information.
Hey, that was the greatest endorsement in my
I mean,
that was great. And she used the word brilliantly. I was just, ooh, brilliantly. Ooh, me? Brilliant? Ooh. No, but I really want you to come out. You're going to enjoy it this evening. Are you going to be here with your stuff tonight, or you not going to? No, okay, all right, that's all right. She'll be watching on Facebook Live, commenting as always. Come on down, 9185 Central Avenue. And now let me ask you, now I'm going to put it on the spot. You know how I do, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, you. No, not you. You and you. This program is good. What you think, Alcom? I got the first time. Hold on, let me leave you out of it. Let me ask Alcom on first. We got this third wheel over here. You know
I know, right.
Thinking,
Still small feel of fire.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Burning on my cheek.
Do you think this should be a one-time deal? Should we invite a third party to this thing we got? Because it's going every second Monday of the month.
What y'all think? Hanifa must come back.
What y'all think, brother? Because I'm trying to get look.
Back,
ain't
right?
too many. Ain't too many. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too much good information and good conversation and dialogue. What do you all think?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a vote. And if there's a bunch of no's, and I'm not having you back on my program, I'm sorry. It was Alcomon's idea. If everybody says yes, hey, look, it was my idea. I invited her, and we're gonna ask her to come back.
Hanifa must. She has my vote for sure.
Yeah. So what you think? You think it's something you could do?
Sure. I love these types of discussion. I think they're helpful and
important.
Look,
the second Monday of every month, we have the Chopping It Up programs, the Gender Wars, ending the war between black men and black women. And now we have 3 guests, Irritated Genie, yours truly, my sister, Al Kamar, and my other sister, Hanifa. Sister Hanifa, we're going to come in here and we're going to rock the spot. So thank you for tuning in, brothers and sisters. We appreciate you. And we'll definitely see you on the battlefield. And we'll see you tonight for Chopping It Up in the evening here at Everlasting Life. Peace out. Could you hit that finish for me? Thank you, sis.
Cool.